I read what I think might be my favorite new book a few months ago. It came out from author Laura Belgray. And I have to tell you, I've had a huge copywriting crush on Laura for years. And so but I'm gonna be sharing an interview with her that I did. But first, I wanted to read just a couple of things from her book. This book embodies everything that I believe about why different is better than better. Laura is different in such exquisitely awkward ways that it just makes my heart burst with joy. So this is from her introduction, and she's describing who the book's for. If you don't check the usual boxes either, or you're far from the person that you knew you could be, but are too resistant or just plain lazy to become, this book is for you. It's for you if you've ever tanked relationships or sabotaged your career because something you recoiled from success or being a responsible, fully developed human. You say wildly unpopular at the start of a post you hope will be wildly popular. In fact, now that I think about this, when I share this on email, I'm going to start that with wildly unpopular. Okay, so you get the idea. I'm excited to be able to share this with you, and I'll tell you something funny. See, my husband, we're in Toronto at the Archangel Council meeting, and and close the chest here. Here, I'll just do this. And when I was talking to Laura and I invited her to do this interview, I said, "Hey, Laura, let's why don't we show up in our bathrobes, because we're going to be so raw and real, and I hate the word authentic, but we're going to be so authentic that we're not even going to have makeup on." Well, you'll see, I actually showed up like no makeup and a bathrobe, like my husband here. Well, she still looked pretty darn great. Okay, and here's my interview with Laura Belgray. Oops, don't forget to pre-order her book today. Now, bye. Yes.
Yay. Hi.
Okay, you know when you tell somebody that, hey, everybody's wearing a chicken costume to the company party,
Exactly.
one person shows up. I'm glad you came in the spirit of living, breathing tough titties. Now, you know, I have been wanting to talk to you about this book for about 1.5 years now, because you and I had the chance to connect on it as you were starting to write it. So I'm following along, following the launch, and now it's coming up and we're just a few days away.
I can't believe it.
I know. And I have to admit, this is a book that once you just read a couple of words, you will never forget that, not just your writing and not just who you are, you never forget the language behind it, the ideas behind it, the concept behind it, because the reality is we all have a way in which we present ourselves to the world. And in some ways that's exhausting and it's fake, but it also isn't ever going to allow us to be our absolute best. So, to allow our conversation to be its absolute best, I have a couple of ideas that I'd like to share. Okay, the first one is that we get to say whatever we want, and then I'm going to bleep them out later. So we can use words like, yeah, and like, and, you know, but knowing that there might be little ears or big corporations that don't like words like, there were two things that were happening as I was reading your book. I was lucky enough to be able to read an early advanced edition, and two things I noticed was, one, I found myself cringing, like, oh my God, I know that feeling and nobody's ever articulated. And I thought I was the only one who felt that way, that just kind of like quietly dying inside. And at first I was quietly dying inside for you. And then I realized I would start linking it back to my life. And I would have a Pavlovian response of this kind of cellular hardwired memory, either in preschool or high school or last week, when I felt not just awkward and ashamed, but invalid and wrong. And because you were taking it and claiming it and owning it and actually coming out on top, not just because I know you, but the book really comes full circle in a lot of ways, I started feeling that way about myself. And I wonder what the writing process was like for you to go back and take out a pitchfork and go into those memories.
It worked in two different ways. Like, in some cases, like when I was writing the first chapter, I didn't write it first, but when I was writing the chapter that is the first chapter called Deb Fishbone Likes This, about my it's about hate following my sixth grade bully on social media, and flashes back. Yes.
Amazing. Yeah.
And it flashes.
Can we talk about that for a minute? Can you tell us about Deb Fishbone?
Okay, so Deb Fishbone, basically, in a nutshell, she stole my best friend, start of sixth grade, stole my best friend, kicked me out of my friend group, and made my life a total living hell for sixth grade. Like, I would fake sick at least once a week, try not to go to school. I hated it. And I mean, nothing's worse than being kicked out of your friend group and not being invited to, to go to pizza on Wednesdays when you're let out early for lunch. They went to buy leg warmers without me. That says it all. That's what scarred the deepest, that moment of feeling like, oh my gosh, it is not safe to be me. Being disliked is so dangerous. And it's something that I spent the rest of my life like trying to unlearn and be okay being myself and be okay with being disliked, because when you are in sixth grade, one person disliking you can ruin your life. When you're an adult, it is the opposite. And fitting in, I think, is the kiss of death, especially in creativity and business and in having a brand, anything, any kind of success that I value. Fitting in is the kiss of death, and standing out and being a weirdo is where it's at. And so that is the scar that I'm trying to sand down, that Deb Fishbone left me with. So that's all to say that when I was writing that chapter, I actually felt like that stuck with me all these years. And I always felt like it was a little bit of my origin story. Like whenever someone would say, who hurt you? Like Deb Fishbone. And so writing that chapter sort of dulled the pain. And by the time I had finished writing it, I felt like I was over it. And it almost felt irrelevant. Like, do I even keep this in? I'm over it. Like, it's not even that potent, because I didn't feel it anymore.
So let me ask you this. Now, when you and I have talked over the course of the last year, you kept saying, this is not a self-help book. I refuse to give a message, but you know what, Laura, I'm going to force you to it. Bring it around, because both those scenarios that you described, they have a lot of themes in common. So we all have those. What is the inner affirmation or outer affirmation, either what we tell ourselves or what we've learned from what the world tells us as a result of those situations?
I would say the message is that not only is it safe to be yourself, at least once you're an adult, it's imperative for your happiness, for your creativity, for standing out in a sea of sameness, especially if you have a business and have to stand out to make a living, and just for your own integrity and sense of self-actualization. It is necessary to be yourself, and being anything else just feels shitty. And you're not gonna get kicked out of your friend group anymore. Like, sixth grade is a dangerous time. I'm not I wouldn't, parents always tell their kids, like, just be yourself, honey, and whoever doesn't like it isn't meant to be your friend. But you want you want everyone to be your friend at that age. You really want them to like you. And so I don't have advice for sixth graders, except that it gets better. It won't feel this way forever.
What I think what we're both agreeing is, on the other side of that, if you can stand outside of yourself, stand outside of your sixth grade self or out of the damaged relationship self, that there's an amazing place of being able to come back to who you actually are once you scrape off the barnacles and all that muck that has been vomited onto you. Do you see that in the process of writing this book, have you had a lot of people start to use you as a one-woman self-help guru, the one that you never wanted to be?
Well, the book's not out yet, so we'll see if that happens. Honestly, I've always kind of considered myself, not always, but have recently considered myself sort of an undercover coach. because I am, I'm not a life coach. I haven't studied life coaching. I do coach people in a business sense, like I mentor people in my mastermind shrimp club and in other ways. And I like self-help. I actually do. I hate our self-helpy culture. I think it's full of shit. But I like self-improvement. I like personal development. I like the idea that we can change, that people can change. And it's something I'm really always interested in. Like, can I be a better me? Can I create new habits? Can I not be late for things?
What if?
What if, can I not procrastinate when I'm afraid to fail? Can I like go for it with, say, speaking more, even though I'm so apprehensive about it, and maybe not feel apprehensive? And so I have all these, all those aims in terms of my own self. I like self-improvement.
Yeah.
So I have no problem if somebody feels like they got something out of my book in terms of self-improvement, in terms of like feeling inspired, having permission to be more of themselves. If they feel motivated to do something they wouldn't normally, I love that. I am all for it.
It's kind of like, the old thing of the person who's actually reading something they really shouldn't, but it's shrouded in the cover of a Bible, so that nobody knows what they're actually reading. It's like, it is something that helps oneself and helps one's development without actually feeling like like the medicine. It's the spoonful of sugar instead. Now, so let's talk about the book for a minute more, because, okay, I have to tell you, I love this book. And Laura, when I went on and I was looking at the different bonuses that I could get, one of the things I loved was your bonus about making it unput downable, because you're one of the world's, not just one of the world's greatest copywriters, most respected copywriters, but one of my freaking funniest friends online. So I was sitting down today to chat with you, and I felt rusty, like of course I've been doing Zoom calls, but being able to talk with you, I feel like you have, through your book, you are giving people a safe space to drop the pretense and the fear and this idea that we have to be perfectionistic to bring it full loop. What I have loved about this book is I think it's a metaphor, not just for the way in which you wrote the book and you were being in how you wrote the book, but unfortunately, I'm sorry to tell you, Laura, you did write a self-help book. There are specific takeaways.
Damn it.
Yeah, and I think there's, it's like, if I think you're going to be dragged as an unwilling guru into that spotlight, because you certainly have, for me. So first off, speaking of marketing, let me just ask you a quick question. I want people to buy this book, but I want them to buy the book quickly and to support you in your book launch. So tell me, what is the best way that people can do that?
Oh, thank you for asking. Well, they can go to toughtittiesbook.com. And that is where you'll find all the booksellers linked there, whether you want to buy it from Amazon or, yep, it looks like that. Whether you want to buy it, Tough Titties, whether you want to buy it from Amazon or an indie bookstore, and you can do that through bookshop.org or indie, I forget what it is. They're the same. They're all linked there. And then there's a form to fill out if you want to collect your bonuses, which you should. These are so valuable.
Yes.
So yes, I'm offering from, everything from the intro chapter, a sneak peek, that's an instant download, to a course called Story Goldmine Live. That's going to be a workshop on learning to tell stories, whether it's in your email, your captions, anywhere, and connect them to a point, something meaningful, or a takeaway, or something you're selling. So it's stories that sell. And then also Unput Downable, which you mentioned, that's like secrets to binge-worthy storytelling from the pages of Tough Titties. So I'll be using examples like passages and showing like what I did there.
Coming back to what we said, you said how this is part of that bonus, how your flaws work in your favor. And I think we, I'm a huge believer. My upcoming book, Different is Better Than Better. Let's go back and look at you in the 6th grade. How did those are so-called flaws? I mean, there weren't really flaws
Right.
that. How did those work in your favor?
I collected comics, I collected rocks, I was obsessed with video games. I was
Good.
not like a cool girly girl who
You're
wore
retro cool. I
yeah,
mean,
so yeah, but I
today,
didn't have, a pair of Calvins or Sassoon jeans. And I wasn't cool in the way you were supposed to be in 6th grade in, 1980. So I would say that and I was insistent on being different until this happened to me, until I learned that like, oh, fitting in is better. So that I have kept with me, sort of revived after I got over the whole I've got to fit in thing. I think that was always in me, the inclination to be different, never copy anybody, to be an original. That has served me very well in
jazz
my
hands.
jazz hands.
Yeah, jazz hands. In my research, we've over the last decade, we've measured 1.5 million people to understand what the high performers do differently in organizations and in corporations and entrepreneurs. And we found consistently, the research shows, it backs up everything that you're saying, that the people who are really exceptional within an organization, they do 2 things. The first one is they deliver a specific benefit, meaning they don't try to be great at everything, because if you're taking 1 step forward in 10 areas, you can't take 10 steps forward in 1 area. So they deliver a specific benefit, even if that benefit is being incredibly detailed as a project manager or being extremely confident as a CEO. The second thing they do differently, the high performers, is that they realize that they have to do that on purpose. They can't just wait for this distinctive trait to show up when it's convenient, that they have to actually embody that and be that and over deliver in that, deliver 2 scoops of that. And so speaking of research, let's talk about what makes you, Laura Belgray, fascinating.
Yes, I took the test.
You're the avant-garde. The avant-garde is the #1 archetype among ultra high performing, high success entrepreneurs. We don't see this archetype among top salespeople. We tend to not see it among people in IT or people in more traditional fields. Where we see it is self-starters. So coming back to your report, I'm going to read a couple of things. Tell me if this rings true. How the world sees you, Laura Belgray, how the world sees you as primary prestige, secondary innovation. You are a forward-thinking and enterprising leader whose creativity makes you an excellent contributor to brainstorming sessions. How do you like brainstorming sessions? How do you like coming up with a lot of ideas really quickly?
I love brainstorming sessions, especially when there's not pressure on me to come up with the thing, when we're all contributing ideas. Deadlines, I hate them. So yes, I love a brainstorming session. One of my favorite things about the job I used to have working in TV promos was the writers' meeting, even though once a week it was in the afternoon, which I loved. Once a week it was in the morning, and I actually came in for it, even though normally I would start my day at noon if I could. So I would come in. I never wanted to miss the writers' meeting because it was so much fun. Someone would read their script aloud and we would all kind of, pitch in, brainstorm, talk about where we would tweak it, what could make it funnier. And the weight was not all on me. So I love that. If I came up with something brilliant and funny, awesome. If I didn't, also awesome. Let somebody else shine.
And so when you're in a situation, if I said, Laura, listen, I need some help, I'm kind of stuck. Can you just help me come up with a bunch of ideas, and we're going to put Post-its all over the wall. Could you help me with that?
I think I could, but it depends on the day. Like there are some days when I'm like,
apparently.
Yeah, right. Oh, for sure. It depends on the time of day. Like, 1 p.m. or after is probably better, and like certain times of the month also. But yes, that's something that is fun for me.
So I'm going to keep going on you.
Okay.
As the avant-garde, here's what is not your highest and best use. If others force you to follow the same routine over and over again, you'll become bored and demoralized. Do you like following a rigid routine of repetition?
I do in my own life, my own routine that I decide.
Or that you
I'm,
decide?
oh yes, I'm very controlling
Yeah.
about that. If someone wants to make plans in the morning or something, which we know is off limits, I'm like, no, because I have my routine in the morning. I have my, I can like go for a very certain walk and it's in the same path every single day with no thinking. I know it's good for you to like, walk in a new direction and with your AirPods out. I don't do that. I want no thinking. Same path every day, stop into the same store for the same cut up watermelon.
Wait, as it watermelon?
But yes, I stop in, I get my watermelon chunks. Then a few blocks later, I stop into the coffee shop, I get my iced coffee, and then I, turn the corner. I don't even know I'm doing it. I could come home and sit down at the computer and then I start writing. And I might sit down and be like, did I go out yet? I don't even know it happened.
So, okay, so let's go on about you. Look, I even have
okay.
a coffee stain. Okay, your dormant advantage, which means it's not that you can't be this or do this. The area where that's going to be most exhausting for you, like quicksand, is details, precision of, so to read it, why you alert. The alert advantage for some people that maybe they're a bookkeeper and they want to be told exactly what to do. They want that Excel file. They want a list of rules that they can follow. For you, that feels like quicksand. Rather than focusing on deadlines and structure, you would rather pursue opportunities to steer toward the goal rather than get mired in the weeds of how to get there.
Yes. I mean, I'm like, I don't know if I steer toward the goal. I like being in flow. I like the way the body language of that. I like being in flow and
do that again.
Doing
on a dance floor. Yeah.
I like my day to go like that. And like, now I feel like writing this. Oh, now I feel like doing that. And I will tell you this about the word details. What it brings up for me is when I was out of college and half-assed looking for a job, meaning I would like open the classifieds every day and search through them for something that looked interesting and fun. Anything that was like creative, anything that said creative opportunity or creative director or anything like that popped out at me and would get me excited. And then I would read through it and it would say something like, must be detail oriented. I'm like, oh,
right. Yeah.
Cross that one off. Nope. Or it would say, must be a self-starter. Like, no, thanks. So,
well, let's take, okay. So, for a lot of people, they would not read it because they wouldn't want to have the word creative. And that's why it's so important for us to know the words that people respond to.
yeah.
Like, I used to think if somebody didn't want something creative, that meant that there was, that they were an underachiever. And now what I realize is like, dude, I need the person who is consistent and methodical and likes to do it the exact same way, not like your walk in the morning, but I mean, they want to be told what to do. That brings a tremendous amount of comfort that can outweigh the chaos and anarchy of pure creativity.
Yeah.
So back to you.
Uh-huh.
When we looked so this is your result, your analytics compared to the 1.5 million people who have taken the test. And what I've highlighted here is you are an avant-garde, so primary prestige, secondary innovation. So here's your prestige, bam, you have very high standards. Now you are determining the standards, as Deb Fishbone can tell us, you are determining the standards, not her. And here's your innovation. You excel in situations in which you can determine what's the standard by which I want to set the bar, and how can I do that in my own way. Now, your dormant is alert. That was what we were talking about. You alert, literally the alarm clock.
Oh,
much for
trauma.
You. Now here's passion. I'm going to come
yeah.
back to this. Yeah. I'm going to come back to passion. So hold that thought for a moment.
Okay.
You and I have a mutual friend named Marie Forleo.
Yes.
Marie's archetype is similar to yours. her archetype is the talent. She has a primary passion, secondary prestige. So what the two of you share is very high standards. And I know that you have been integral in Marie in creating things like Copy Cure, which I was honored to be able to be part of. If you guys haven't checked it out, Copy Cure, where can they go to Copy Cure?
They can go to thecopycure.com, and right now it'll be a wait list, but get on it because we'll always have another live round coming up. We just finished one, but absolutely get on that. There's a free 7-day writing class that comes delivered to your inbox. So if you sign up right now, and yeah, get in there. Marie and I created it together, and it's such a good course. And
It
that
is such a good course,
yeah.
but if you're only going to go to one place,
yes,
don't go to what's the URL again?
ToughTittiesBook.com.
ToughTittiesBook.com. Y'all go. Okay, so what's your favorite thing about? Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show Marie's analytics.
Okay.
Like you, Marie scores very high on prestige. She scores very high on passion. Passion personalities tend to be really animated. I have primary passion. Yay! We're emotional. We like being able to get in. Now, if we look at your analytics, so here's Laura and here's Marie. They work together extremely well. We'll see. Laura scores high in other areas like innovation. You score lower on passion than Marie. Do you find that when you guys are partnering that Marie is more like, hey, I have an idea, whereas you would be more measured?
Yes. From the very day I met her, I mean, even before I met her, we would be in hip hop class together at French. That's how we met. And she was always in the front. I like to be in the front too, but she really danced like,
well, I mean, she was like a Nike professional dancer.
Yes,
for years,
before that she had the talent. Yes, she hit every note just right and was really like put her whole self into it. And I'm a little more detached. I'm not as much in my body as she is. And I've always been the person at a sports, at any kind of sports event, like in college, when everyone was like, woo, I would try to do it too. And I'd be like, woo.
Wait, come on. See, I love wooing.
I have rarely wooed authentically. If you hear me like, woo, then I'm faking it for the good of for morale.
No, you're trying to fit in with the 6th grade girls. They're going to make fun of you if you don't.
Yeah, exactly. So am I passionate? I'm obsessive, but I don't consider myself a passionate person. Marie cries at the drop of a hat for other people. She'll hear someone expressing pain and her tears will well up. And I'm the opposite. I look like a heartless stone-faced, so psychopath, because I'm not passionate in that same way. That is absolutely accurate about her and me.
There are just like fun side note. So when we've had the opportunity to measure a lot of really cool, interesting people, and you can see real consistency. So passion personalities, here are 3 passion personalities, Marie, Godin, and me. Now, do you notice anything about the body language?
Yes, everyone's tilted the same way.
Yes. Now let me show you, I'm going to show you 3. We're going to get even more specific there. And this is passion, the advantage. But if we go even more specific and we look at innovation plus power, here are 3 well-known maverick leaders, innovation plus power. Do you notice anything? Yes. How crazy is that?
That's so funny. They lean in.
They do. Well, but it's the opposite way.
Yes.
And I did not flip these photos or manipulate them in any way. Well,
I would never lean that way.
Yeah, passion people tend to, and maverick leaders, they're unorthodox and irreverent, but they tend to be very much about like, let me think about the idea, whereas passion people are like, let me feel something with you.
Yes. Honestly, I always pose like this because I'm vain and I like my right side better. But it has nothing to do with my personality except vanity.
I wonder what that is.
I
Where
just,
does that
I just don't like my left side. And like I'm not super symmetrical. And obviously it's things that only I notice, but I'm like, oh
yeah.
God, you took a picture of me on my left side. Do you even know me? I thought we were friends. So I'm always like this.
Okay, so since this is about kind of disrobing,
Mhm.
can we see your left side? Oh, everybody screen grab right there.
I'm like Mariah
Share
Carey,
it.
you know, she will not face the camera.
Tufftittiesbook.com.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's so many things about this book that as I was reading that I thought about, and one of them was that when there are moments that, like, we're being taught a lesson, whether we want that lesson or not, and we probably at that point it's something that we desperately don't want to learn, like the situations that we've talked about. At the same time, there is some wisdom that I learned from your book about being able to turn towards that pain and actually not just embrace it, but go deeper into it, to double down on the tough titties, like a D cup, double down.
Double date.
I guess, yeah. Did you have any epiphanies by doubling down on the titties?
I think really it was in writing the final chapter. That was the only one that I hadn't written at all when I submitted the proposal and my chapter summaries. And it was like, this one's TBD, but it's called Company Woman. And it's about how a person like me, who is clearly not meant to be an entrepreneur and not built for business, how that person actually came to have a company, have a business. And I saw that everything in my life that I wasn't supposed to do led me right where to I was supposed to be. And
Say that again.
so everything in my life that I wasn't supposed to do, which I did, led me right where to I was supposed to be.
That is doubling down. So what okay, you're a self-help advice guru. What advice do you have? I'm going to force you to do it. I know you don't like structure and details because you have dormant alert, but what could each of us do to go back and think of those moments when we felt like the fucking worst? And the reason why I say that is because the subtitle is on living your best life when you're the fucking worst. Now we have an asterisk there, and we have a beep here. What could people do to have that same epiphany?
I think everything about you or about your life that you think was a mistake, was an unnecessary detour, something you might regret or feel ashamed of. Look at where it got you, what it might have taught you, how it might have served you in ways that you don't recognize. And you'll start to see that you are right where you're supposed to be. And in large part, probably because of all those things about you that are not very supposed to.
Ooh, I love that. The anti-supposed to. Oh, that's so good. So it's not just about refuse the supposed to when you look back, but maybe as you're looking forward in your life, to look at those so-called supposed tos and think of them as shouldn't do's, or at least be open to that, the questioning of that process.
Yeah, question it. I mean, the things that you're like, well, I'm supposed to do this, or I should do this. And if you don't want to, I'd say like do an inquiry into, why am I supposed to? Says who, why, what does that get me? How does it serve me? Am I sabotaging myself by not doing it, or am I just honoring who I am? And I don't know the answer. Sometimes it might be that you're sabotaging yourself and holding yourself back. And sometimes it might be that you're honoring who you are, and that is the way to go.
I'm smiling because I'm sitting here thinking, like, it's like those the firecrackers, like, like I'm sitting here thinking of all those situations where I wish I'd asked, am I supposed to? And that's true not just in childhood memories, in previous romances, but in writing a piece of copy or writing the email to a client. Well, you're supposed to do this. Maybe that's the right way to do it, but at least ask the question. So I could sit here and talk to you forever. I love that. I love the opportunity to talk to you and I'll tell you what, like a geeky little secret. I know that if I wrote to you and I was like, Laura, I really want your course, that you might be able to just give me like a bootleg one. But I have consistently purchased your courses on the sly because I learned so much from everything that you have to teach. And in this book, it's just this. As I was reading the book, one of the things that I mentioned to you the first time that I saw the digital advanced copy, that it's every sentence I kept thinking, oh, she just like blew her wad on the really funny stuff in that sentence. So it's going to be something boring for a little while before we have another goodie. And like every sentence, it was almost too much. It was just like, oh, gotta go smoke a cigarette. This is so good. So tell us once again where we can go. ToughTittiesBook.com. Check out these bonuses. Dude, I purchased these bonuses. I did purchase the bonus as soon as it became available because I wanted to be able to watch you with some of the insider stuff that you were giving away. They can follow you on social media. It's at Talking Shrimp. Yes.
Yes.
No.
Sorry. On social media, on Instagram, which is I'd say my most comfortable platform. That's where I am the most. I am at Laura Belgray. I changed it. It used to be Talking Shrimp NYC. And I was like, I'm an author now. I feel like I should be known for my name, not my company. So I made that switch. So I'm at Laura Belgray on Instagram. I'm also Laura Belgray on LinkedIn. I'm L Belgray on Twitter. And I think that's, what you need to know. You can find me.
So if the book is Tough Titties, I want you to rank these options.
Okay.
As an alternative, in case people don't want to buy a book named Tough Titties, or if you want to go after different target audiences.
Mm-hmm.
Tough Kitties for the feline crowd.
Uh-huh.
Or we have Tough P. Ditties, which rhymes better than Combs. We have Tough Cities.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, we have Tough Committees. So of those, and then there's Tough.
I mean, really, like I love a poo theme. Yeah. So I'm going to have to go with.
And it's going to be for internal digestion expert.
Yeah, for digestive issues and I think it could be a memoir of poop. Like I'm a Jewish girl who loves it. We like to talk about poop in my culture. So talk about what it looked like that morning, etc. So I think I could handle that. I'm not a real cat person, though that could be good for the children's book. Tough Ditties, you just don't know what he's calling himself from one day to the next. Nor does the world seem to care anymore. Yeah. So, and he might sue for that. So, and then Tough Committees. I don't really like committees except for my own street team, which is called the Titty Committee.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, I want to say thank you because I was a fellow weirdo as a kid, and there are a lot of ways in which being able to listen to your stories and the way in which you unpack them with your inimitable language helped me understand how I can double down on the double D and bring it forth. And I can, and I should, and that I don't have to go with the supposed to's, but I could go with the what ifs. So I'm a better writer thanks to you. And I'm so excited that we got to learn from you. Thank you for making the time for this. And I cannot wait to watch the titties unleash themselves onto the world.
Yay! Watch out for titties. Thank you so much, Woo! Sally. You were the best. Thank you for making time for me. This is great.
Awesome. Okay. Bye. I hope you loved listening to Laura as much as I love reading her writing. So here's what I want you to do now. Go here. Here is where you pre-order the book over at toughtittiesbook.com. And we're going to go pre-order. And then we look down here and we fill this out. We get amazing bonuses. And when you order your book and you read it, I want you to let me know in the comments what you think about the book. Bye.